The Galactic Military Academy's training hall fell silent as instructor Zexthor announced the day's sparring matches. Among the 73 species represented in Combat Fundamentals 101, only one came from a Class 12 Deathworld, Private Sarah Chen of Earth. Corporal Venak of the Crystalline Dominion stood across the mat from the human, his 4 arms flexing with confidence. The Crystallines were known throughout the galaxy as superior warriors, their crystalline exoskeletons providing natural armor, and their multiple limbs offering tactical advantages in close combat. Venak had never lost a training bout, and he certainly wasn't about to lose to a soft-skinned mammal from some backwater planet. Sarah stood casually, her dark hair pulled back in a tight ponytail, hands loose at her sides. At 5 feet 6 inches, she appeared almost comically small compared to Venak's 7-foot frame. The other cadets whispered among themselves, already certain of the outcome. "Begin!" Zexthor's voice crackled through the hall's speakers. Venak moved first, his combat training dictating a cautious approach. He had studied the human's previous matches. She was fast, unpredictably so, and possessed an alarming tolerance for pain. But speed could be countered, and pain tolerance meant nothing if one couldn't continue fighting. They circled each other, and Venak noticed something that made him recalculate his strategy. The human's hair, long and dark, swayed with her movements despite being tied back. In crystalline combat doctrine, any exposed appendage was a liability, something to be grabbed and controlled. He struck. 2 of his arms shot forward in a practiced feint while his 3rd arm swept low. Sarah blocked the high attacks and stepped back from the sweep exactly as he'd anticipated. His 4th arm snapped out like a whip, fingers closing around her ponytail with a grip that could crush stone. "Gotcha, Deathworlder," Venak hissed in Galactic Common, yanking backward with enough force to lift a crystalline warrior off their feet. What happened next would be analyzed in combat training videos for the next 3 decades. Sarah didn't resist the pull. Instead, she moved with it, her body following the momentum as she pivoted on 1 foot. Her hand shot up not to grab his arm, but to ensure his grip stayed locked on her hair. Venak's tactical computer screamed a warning half a second too late. The human's other hand formed a tight fist and drove upward, using her entire body's rotation and the leverage of his own pull to generate force. The punch caught Venak directly in the thorax joint, the one vulnerable spot in crystalline anatomy where the exoskeleton segments met. The impact sent hairline fractures spiderwebbing across his chest plate. But Sarah wasn't done. Still holding his arm in place by her hair, she dropped her weight and twisted, throwing Venak completely off balance. His training had never prepared him for an opponent who would weaponize their own vulnerability. As he stumbled forward, Sarah's knee came up to meet his descending face. The sound of crystalline structure cracking echoed through the silent hall. Venak released her hair and staggered backward, 2 of his arms clutching his fractured faceplate while the other 2 tried to maintain a defensive posture. Sarah stood calmly, running her fingers through her ponytail to smooth it back into place, not even breathing hard. "First mistake," she said quietly, her voice carrying in the absolute silence. "Thinking my hair is a weakness. It's attached to my skull, Corporal. My skull is one of the densest bones in my body, surrounded by some of the strongest muscles in the human anatomy." She took a step forward, and Venak retreated despite himself. "Second mistake, you assumed that because something can be grabbed, it should be grabbed. On Earth, we have combat sports that are thousands of years old. Judo, wrestling, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. We've spent millennia learning how to use an opponent's grip against them." Instructor Zexthor moved to intervene, but Sarah raised a hand respectfully. "I'm done, sir. The corporal has learned today's lesson." The instructor's ocular sensors focused on Venak, who was still cradling his damaged faceplate, biofoam already sealing the cracks from his suit's emergency systems. "Corporal Venak, report to medical. Private Chen, remain for debrief." As Venak limped toward the exit, supported by 2 Valorian cadets, Sarah turned to face the rest of the class. Dozens of species stared at her with newfound wariness and respect. Zexthor's mandibles clicked in what the humans had learned to recognize as approval. "Class, observe. Private Chen has demonstrated a fundamental principle that many of you have failed to grasp. The humans call their planet a death world not because it is harsh. Many worlds are harsh. They call it a death world because everything on it, including them, evolved to survive against impossible odds." The instructor paced the mat where drops of Venak's biofluid still glistened. "You see a human's hair as a grip point, a vulnerability. They see it as a lever, a tool, even a weapon. This is why 70% of species struggle in joint operations with Deathworlders. You are trying to fight them as you would fight each other. The Deathworlders are not playing the same game. A Threnodian cadet in the back raised a manipulator tentacle. Instructor, are all humans this adaptable in combat? Sarah allowed herself a small smile before Zexthor could answer. Sir, permission to respond? Granted, Private. Every human child learns to fall before they learn to walk properly, Sarah said. We spend our entire lives in a gravity well that would cripple most species in this room. Our planet is covered in microorganisms that constantly try to kill us, so our immune systems are in a perpetual state of war. We healed from injuries that would be fatal to others just to reach adulthood. She looked around the room, meeting as many eyes as she could. So yes, we're adaptable. We have to be. It's not a choice, it's survival. And if you ever face a human in real combat, remember this. We've been fighting to stay alive since before we climbed down from the trees. Every dirty trick, every improvisation, every refusal to quit when logic says we should, that's not bravery or stubbornness. That's just Tuesday for a Deathworlder. The training hall remained silent for a long moment after she finished. Then slowly, one cadet began tapping their appendages together in the galactic gesture of respect. Another joined, then another, until the entire hall resonated with the sound. Instructor Zexthor's mandibles clicked again. Class dismissed. Private Chen, well done, though next time perhaps don't fracture your opponent's faceplate quite so thoroughly. Medical complaints affect my evaluation scores. Sarah grinned. No promises, sir. If they're dumb enough to grab my hair again, they deserve what they get. As she walked off the mat retying her ponytail, the other cadets gave her a wide berth. Word would spread quickly through the academy about what happened when you made the mistake of thinking a Deathworlder's apparent weakness was anything other than a trap waiting to spring. In the medical bay, as technicians repaired his fractured exoskeleton, Corporal Venak contemplated his error. He had read the reports about humans, had seen the combat footage, had even acknowledged their dangerous reputation. But reading about Deathworlders and fighting one were entirely different experiences. He would not make that mistake again. None of them would. The Deathworlders had earned their place in the galactic military, one broken opponent at a time.